walking through the fire, shadows on your name. Every scar you carry tells you not to be ashamed. The journey isn't easy, but your soul is worth the fight. Every step you're taking pulls you closer to the light. How you gonna win when you ain't right within? When you haven't awakened, it's just the beginning. It takes a lot more than you think, so don't stop your healing. Don't stop your healing. People may not see it, the battles that you face, but breaking down the old walls makes a stronger place. You don't have to hurry, healing has its pace. Even in the silence, love will find its space. How you gonna win when you ain't right within? When you haven't awakened, it's just the beginning. It takes a lot more than you think, so don't stop your healing. Don't stop your healing. Keep going, keep growing, even when the pain is showing. Keep rising, keep fighting, your spirit's flame is never dying. How you gonna win when you ain't right within? When you haven't awakened, it's just the beginning. It takes a lot more than you think, so don't stop your healing. Just keep going, keep going. Breathe in, let it flow. You're stronger than you know. Every ending starts again. The healing never ends. Keep going, keep going. Keep going, keep growing. This is the life you're owning. Don't stop your healing, no, you're just beginning. So keep going. Welcome to the midnight tide, where shadows whisper, darkness hides. We're diving deep into the unknown. On a journey, you're not alone. From haunted halls to specters lost, we'll guide you through the eerie frost, with tales that chill and spirits roam. A freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient tomes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient tomes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Welcome to the midnight tide, where shadows whisper, darkness hides. We're diving deep into the unknown. On a journey, you're not alone. From haunted halls to specters lost, we'll guide you through the eerie frost, with tales that chill and spirits roam. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient tomes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show. The freaking awesome paranormal show.
The engine is still
Clear for launch. GC, go. Guidance, go. Fido, go. Prop, go. GNC, go. Max, go. Eagle, go. Ecom,
go. Pending final steps. The cabin link check.
3, 2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the Rift Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Awesome Paranormal Show.
There we go.
There
What's
we
this up? Yep, we can't start the show without the voice letting us know what show we're doing.
with us as well.
Exactly. So, guys, welcome back.
Yeah, it feels like we've been gone forever.
It's been a minute. Well,
Yes.
only a week.
I know, but
But-
it just seems like longer.
Yeah, we took the whole week off. We didn't even do a show on Thursday night.
And we didn't do anything the Thursday night before that. So then
Yeah.
it just feels like we've been gone a long time.
I feel like it's been a long time. Tell you what, guys, it's been a week.
Man,
It has
and
been a week.
it's been a week, and then this week is kind of a week too. It's been
Yeah. Last week was last Tuesday. We'll give you guys a little bit of an explanation as to why we were not on the air. It was Angie's birthday, so happy birthday to Angie. And
Happy
actually,
birthday.
it was our guest's birthday too on the 16th. So happy late birthday to Colin.
Yes.
So it was her birthday, and she works at Camp Hanover for the summer, so she's gone at
Yeah.
camp. You know, her, RJ, and Kimmy are at camp this summer. So I took RJ to my grandparents' house on the bay because my sister and my dad had gone down there last weekend. She thought she had left some medications down there. So dad messaged me or called me and asked me if I could go down there and look for it. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll just take RJ with me and make a day of it. right? So we went down, had a good time. He went swimming. It was, nice summer's day. He had a good time. We stopped and got some ice cream on the way back. And as we're heading back down 360, we got a phone call from Angie telling me that she was on her way to the hospital. And by this time it was like 6 o'clock or something. It was pretty late. So I'm like, all right. So then I had to go. I went home, took the dog out, and then went to the hospital because she had whacked her leg on like a post. She walked into like a post, like I think a wooden post they used to stop cars from running into to where they eat, like their picnic area.
Yeah.
So she cracked her kneecap, and then she said she's like, oh, that hurts, and turned around and did it again. So she cracked her kneecap twice.
Ow.
Yeah. So ended up going to the hospital. It was like one of those freestanding, like, not really a hospital, but like an emergency center.
Yeah. I know it
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
So we ended up going to one of those, and we ended up staying there till like 10:30, 11 o'clock. So then I had to drive her all the way back to Camp Hanover, which is like way out in Hanover.
Yeah.
And then drive back home. So yeah, it was just a mess. And then Thursday, I don't know what was going on Thursday. Probably was just tired. I don't know.
Thursday she had another doctor's appointment, and you said,
Oh,
you
yeah.
got all this running to do, and so
that's right. I had too much stuff going on that day. But I figured if I was going to come back, if we were going to come back, and I realized again that this is a big day for a lot of people.
What holidays did I miss?
Yes, and I don't have to tell you what day it is because you already know. It is National Porridge Day.
Porridge.
Porridge.
Not too hot, not too cold. It has to be the perfect temperature.
Porridge sounds like such a 18th century.
It does.
Food.
It does.
Like, who eats porridge? Who eats? Where do you get porridge? What is porridge? Like, I thought porridge was oatmeal, but
is it like what cream of wheat is?
I don't know. I mean, I would probably eat cream of wheat if I knew it was porridge, just so I can say, I'm eating porridge. But what is? I mean, it's like porridge and gruel.
Oh,
yeah. Porridge needs to make a comeback. We need to bring porridge back, guys.
We do.
Bring back porridge, and it's also National Fix Your Windows and Doors Day. Again, huge holiday. Joanne Stewart say no porridge.
It's a bigger
grain.
Okay.
Porridge is oats.
Okay.
Oats is oatmeal, right? Hey, Michelle. Oh, Michelle.
Hey, Mish.
Australia. Porridge is oats.
Oats, okay. Wonder if it's different where you're at.
I think, I don't know, porridge seems like something you'd have in like Victorian England or something like that, You
Do you think? Because it feels like to me it would be like
people with the top,
you know what I mean? Because you
top
got porridge,
Charles Dickens would eat porridge.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
While he's fixing his windows and doors on National
Fix Your Windows and Doors.
Yes, so hope you
guys. You know it's storm season.
Yes, we got to do it both on the same day though too. You got a lot of work, but
you got your porridge to give you the energy. So
yes, make sure you have your porridge in the morning and to give you that energy, that Quaker porridge.
Yep.
I have porridge.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe it's just like they don't have. How they don't.
I think they just changed the terminology. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, they Americanized it, called it oatmeal. I also have I've had rolled oats before. I have had that.
Interesting.
But you know what, guys? Before we get away from the mass chaos that's happened this past 2 weeks because we haven't been around. Rhonda's going to read the cards, but I will tell you this: we will be live tonight, Thursday night,
and
Sunday night.
Sunday night.
So guys, you can have your fill
Yep.
of us. You'd be like, oh God, you guys again? Seriously.
Yeah.
What's up, Sarah?
Which porridge has
Porridge is chopped up. Porridge is chopped up oats.
It's like cornmeal. We don't have that in Australia. Y'all
Maybe
don't
it's
have
like
cornmeal?
grits almost.
I like grits.
Grits.
I'm a grits person. I would eat grits over oatmeal any day.
Me too. I love grits.
Mm-hmm.
Nice, some butter, maybe some maple syrup on top to.
See, I like mine with salt, pepper, and butter. But for a little difference, I would put some maple syrup in there.
Angie likes some extra salty.
I like them extra, and I like a lot of pepper in mine too.
Colin's over there thinking, "What the fuck? What am I doing here?"
How did I end up with these weirdos?
We're talking the Freakin Awesome Porridge Show. We're going to.
Hey, but porridge, that's probably something you could use as a discussion on an investigation.
Yeah, bring some porridge.
Did you eat porridge?
Oh yeah, bring a bowl, and they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, this is my favorite breakfast. I used to love this stuff."
Yeah. See,
there we go. This is about the longest discussion I've ever had about porridge in my life. Porridge.
I've only heard porridge about what is it, the Little Red Riding Hood?
Yeah, well, that was that. It was wasn't it Goldilocks?
Goldilocks.
And the Three Bears. Yeah.
The Three Bears. Yeah. All right. Shall we see what we need to do this week?
I hope so, because again, the world's probably falling into mass chaos.
Yeah, because none of us had our porridge today.
Yes, no, yes.
I do. I want to try those because they're supposed to be pretty daggone good, those overnight oats, but I struggle with oatmeal. It has to be not soupy. It has to be almost like you try to make your oatmeal into cookies. Because I have a texture thing.
Yeah,
I just don't know about overnight oats. I feel like I couldn't texture wouldn't let me get it in. Yeah. Hey, Courtney.
I think they like soupy oatmeal. I mean, that's just.
Yeah. All right.
I like mine nice and thick with some butter on it, maybe some brown sugar or something.
Yes, and raisins. Yeah.
Oh, I could go without the raisins, but
I like raisins in mine. Or you could do if you do blueberries or cranberries or.
Yeah. Try to make it act like after all the butter I put on there, put some fruit on there to make me think it's healthy.
All right. Shall I pull a card?
Michelle Wilfong in the house. Courtney.
Michelle Wilfong, Renee.
Courtney and
Joanne, Sharon, Sarah Steiger.
Courtney and
Lois. Michael Brooks. Everybody was where we weren't last weekend, and we're sorry. But Courtney, I'm so proud of what y'all did. It looked amazing.
Yeah, Hill City had a big event there.
Amazing.
It
so
real.
Proud of you guys.
Yes, God, I wish I was there.
Me too.
I don't even know what I was doing. Oh yeah, it was RJ's first weekend at camp. We're getting him ready for camp, actual camp, not hanging out with Angie. So
yeah,
that was what we were doing.
All right, we're gonna pull a card. Any card. All right, we got heat wave.
Phew, that's apropos.
Depression and exhaustion. Depression and exhaustion, which can happen in the heat we've got going on, which is coming back out. And then we've got the outlaw. So, and that one says independent, authentic, the outlier. So I think with the two of these together, I think there's a tendency, again, we've got the heat wave, we've got summer, we've got you're feeling exhausted, oppressed, feeling like you can't do the things you want because it's so hard outside. But I think it's the way, to me, this all represents looking for other ways to accomplish the same thing. So for me, I love to be outside. I love it. I don't mind the heat. I truly don't. But there comes a point in the day where I don't want to be out there any longer for a while. So I do what I want to do, like water my plants and things, or just go sit and enjoy the sunshine early morning, do it late in the evening, things like that. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of rebelling against the oppression that the heat is giving me by figuring out other ways to enjoy my day anyway. Going to the pool, doing things like that. So I think this is all about not looking at obstacles that you feel like are blocking you and standing in your way and keeping you from getting for where you want to be or enjoying what you want to do. It's looking at this from a different perspective and saying, how can I still get there and work around this oppression, work around the things that are holding me back, working around the things I don't like about this? Because there's always a way to get there. It's that whole thinking outside the box, that whole rebellion of, I don't have to be boxed in. I can figure out how to do this another way. So I think that is the message for this week.
Well, I am not shocked at all that heat wave is exhaustion and depression, because that's just like, okay, yeah, the universe is right about that. But I've discovered I'm working through the heat. You know, I go outside, take the dog for a walk, and I try to get outside more. I'm beginning to be okay with the heat. I am dealing with it, right? Although
you actually sent me a couple of messages and said I can deal with this kind of summer because it's been hot without humidity.
Yeah,
you
but there are days when I don't have the heat, it just makes me feel gross. Like I get upset stomach. It's not just my body; it's how my body reacts to the heat. I can't help that. But I've discovered something else I don't like more than heat. Bugs. I hate bugs.
Which I'm surprised we have so many with the ice storms and stuff we had this winter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Take care of some of that.
They're not even like biting me. If they're mosquito, I hate those too. But the bugs are just flying at my face and like all over. Like, oh my God. So annoying. And plus it's, mostly I want to walk around camp is when the bugs, like I'll drive down the road at camp and there are all these flies coming out my car. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's how it is. Belgrove is out there in the more rural area. And every time when I go out there and I come back the next morning, my windshield is just terrible. It's terrible. I'm like, I didn't even see all these bugs. Like, what on earth?
Like a mass bugicide going on the windshield.
Yeah. Eddie Jen, the vlogs, welcome.
Yeah. Whoa, I haven't seen them in a while. What is the welcome back? What's up, Kevin? All right, guys. I'm done with my bitching. I'm done with my moaning. Actually, that's a lie. I'm never done with my bitching and moaning, but I will put it on hold for a second because we have a very special guest on with us tonight. We have my friend and yours, the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Colin Morgan.
Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Oh, I am. First and foremost, I'm so excited. I'm honored. I'm a little gassy. Also, I do have a very important question.
Okay.
Wasn't Miss Muffet sitting on her tuffet? The curds and whey, was that porridge?
Eating her curds
and whey crossed my mind too. I don't know.
I don't know if that was, I don't know, but I figured it was very important to ask.
Well, I think what's in cottage cheese, those are curds, right? Like the cheese curds.
I did think cheese curds, yeah, but I was like, whey, is that not like wheat germ or
it's
that
wheat
other
germ, right? Whey is wheat germ because
right?
it's in like protein powders and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So.
Curds and whey.
And then you mix it with curds. Would that not be porridge?
It says curds and whey are the two components that form when milk curdles.
Oh,
solid lumpy, that sounds very tasty. Eating curdled milk just sounds like delicious.
Okay. So she was just gross.
Yes, I would not take a spider to get me away from curds and whey.
Okay, Mitch says curds and whey is cheese and milk. So I guess it's kind of like cheese curds, but it's still milky.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds disgusting.
It sounds gross, but I eat cottage cheese. I like cheese and milk.
Okay, Renee, curds and whey is cottage cheese. I guess technically it is, right? You guys are so uneducated. Mish, that's why we have you.
I know it
Yeah.
sounds
Educate us.
cottage cheesy. It's yeah.
I think like if you tell me, give me a like a container of cottage cheese and call it a container of curdled milk, I might not want to eat it.
True.
So we're like, you know what? We'll call it cottage cheese.
And people think
Makes
it's
it
just
sound more
cheese.
appetizing. Like
Yeah,
like,
yeah, I
oh,
get. Yeah, I don't know. But also even texturally, I never really. I mean, I will eat it now. I'm older. I enjoy
Mhm.
the flavor a little bit more. But I hated cottage cheese when I was younger. It was texturally for me. It wasn't the flavor. It was just texture.
Yeah,
It just didn't
I have
sit
a
well with
texture
me.
thing. Now, as an adult, I can do cottage cheese, and if I put fruit or something like that in it, it
Yes.
helps.
Yeah.
But yeah, the texture thing, that's why like even oatmeal, it's got to be a certain texture or I can't.
So there's actually
Yeah.
curds and whey are dairy products left over from the cheese making process. Curds are the solid parts that form cheese, while whey is the liquid that remains.
Okay, so it's kind of like that, I guess, with cottage cheese. When you open it up, there's like that liquid that
That
sometimes
liquid.
stick on top.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on top. Yeah, okay.
And that
Okay,
kind of
that
makes
makes
you
sense.
wonder what a tuffet is now, because she sat on a tuffet. So let's look at what a tuffet is.
Is that not a mushroom? Like, okay, the stories, right? The picture books that she's sitting on like a mushroom.
Yeah, I think it's a mushroom. Tuffet is a low cushioned seat or footstool.
That's what I was gonna say. Is it like a hassock or a footstool or
Most commonly known
an
from the
ottoman.
famous
ottoman?
nursery rhyme Little Miss Muffet. The word can also refer to a grassy mound or a natural tuft of grass. So it is a
Oh,
tuft
okay.
of grass, not actually mushroom at all, guys.
Oh, okay.
We've been
Okay.
living a lie our entire lives.
The whole time.
That tuffets are mushrooms.
The whole
God,
time.
my world has been turned upside down, guys. I don't know about you.
That's what I'm here for.
We're here for education, guys. Which we are. We're a very educational show.
I guess I like read it always wrong because it's like I always thought it was sat on her tuffet. And I just assumed that was her butt.
Damn, girl, you got a nice tuffet.
All up in the club, shaking that tuffet.
Oh yeah, poutine is so good. Oh my gosh. Mm.
Yeah, probably better than curds and whey.
Yes, it is. I'm sure.
Used to wander the same. Oh, okay, there we go.
So we're not the only ones.
Yeah, we're
No.
not the only ones that have struggled with this.
You've learned what porridge is, and curds and
Curds
whey.
and whey and a tuffet.
I guarantee that wasn't what you were thinking about learning on a paranormal show, but we like to.
But you could
like to
use these
surprise
in your
people.
terms in your investigation now, and now they make sense.
Yeah.
That is actually going to be the next topic of my podcast is curds and whey and porridge. That's just happens to be our next topic.
We're gonna do a deep dive. We're going down the porridge rabbit hole, guys, and it's going to be have huge guests on.
Little Miss Muffet herself.
Yes,
She will be
Live.
there.
live from her tuffet. Tuffet and the spider coming together and like a debate. It's going to be great. I can't wait. I'll tune in for that one. So tell us about your podcast.
Yes. So I am co-host of the Full of Paranormal BS podcast. And essentially, obviously people kind of hear paranormal BS, or you guys just, BSing around. And really what it is that I'm the believer and my co-host friend Jess, she is our skeptic. And essentially what we do is that we take famous locations or well-known hauntings and we kind of debate the existence of them. So I will come out with some believer facts. I'll hit her with some believer stories, either out of books or real submissions that we get. And then she will hit me with a lot of hard facts. Some of it is science, some of it is not science, that really kind of floor you, actually, that make you question what you're actually talking about. And she does that very well. For example, we just had our Waverly episode come out at the beginning of the month, and I was talking about the story of the smell of bread being baked. And a lot of people report the ghost chef or the cook that was around, and you always know it's him because you smell it baking bread. Well, she hit me with there are types of molds that when they are sprouting or sporing, they smell like yeast. And you look at a location like Waverly that, you know, is run down, it is rainy, it is this, that are possibly sporing this type of mold. I was like, well, never mind then, because it does make sense about why that smell only happens every so often.
Yeah.
It's not on, you know, and I was like, wow, you know, so that's what Jess comes at you with. Now, Jess may be a skeptic, but she wants to be a believer so bad. She thoroughly enjoys the paranormal. She's been invested in the paranormal for quite a while. But unfortunately, like science and the evidence really kind of rules over in her favor as far as her brain is concerned. And then we have our producer, who is also her sister, Bree. She is the one asking the questions. And we've now kind of included Bree's like final thought on everything that we do, because we like, you know, Bree's voice to be heard. Everyone's hearing it, you know, when they listen to the questions. So that is what we do. We just we have 5 episodes released right now. We started in February of this year, and it has been an adventure to say the least. I think originally we thought to ourselves, yeah, you know, let's put this together. It started with the idea. Jess had never seen the Conjuring movies before. And, you know, so her and I sat down and I was like, let's watch it. Let's, you know, share a screen and let's watch it together. And we started talking after the movies about Ed and Lorraine Warren. Very familiar being in the paranormal with Ed and Lorraine Warren. I mean, they kind of, in a sense, wrote the Bible of paranormal. And so her and I would sit there and discuss it for hours after the movie. And then one day she said, why don't we just turn this into a podcast? And I was like, you know what? That's not a terrible idea. And, you know, we sat on it for a little over a year. And going into this new year, we were hanging out for New Year's, and her sister had gotten together and gotten me a gift for Christmas. And it's a piece of the Amityville house. It's a real piece. It's from the windows. And I said, you know what? Why don't we just shoot our shot and put this out there, and let's do the Amityville house as our first episode. And we honestly thought to ourselves, you know what, we're going to put this out there, because we just kind of bare bones it. We had an idea of what we wanted to do. It was Jess's idea to kind of do the debate aspect of it. And we put it together and we said, okay, let's put it out there. And we thought to ourselves, it's going to be great because our friends are going to listen, you know, our family's going to listen, and that'll be it. That'll be awesome. And then our numbers just kept climbing, and we found out like all these other people were listening and chiming in, and that's why it's been an adventure, because I don't think we expected it to consume as much as our lives as it does. Because Jess and I deep dive. We really try to deep dive into the research aspect of everything. We are really big on making sure that what we put out there for the world to see is correct and accurate information. Because that is the one thing that we run into with our research is when you go to a location and you hear 4 or 5 different iterations of a ghost, it kind of makes you not believe that it's actually there. So we want to make sure that what we are putting out there for everyone to listen to is as accurate as we can get it to be with what we have found. So that's what we do. And it's, like I said, it's been amazing.
Has there been anything where you've brought evidence to her and she's like, oh yeah, this actually is true?
Yeah, actually, she's never like come right out and said, you know, oh, well, no, I'm a total believer now. She has sat there and said, you know what? I can't explain that. Mm-hmm. Here's a theory as to why, you know, it definitely might not have worked. You know, I'm trying to think of like a really, a good one to go with that in the episodes that we've done. Because I do know that Amityville was a really hard sell for her just because of everything that came out with Amityville. There are 4,000 different books on Amityville. And of course, the most damning information is the fact that the lawyer came out and said, oh no, we all drank wine and made this whole thing up. and so that holds weight. And but I believe, like, when we did Cecil Hotel was our second episode. There were things that I was kind of bringing to the table that she was like, okay, that's really bizarre, especially with the case of Elisa Lamb. There were
Thank you.
things that had happened prior to her death that were just bizarre. Not necessarily paranormal, so to speak, but it was really, really bizarre.
Yeah.
It was the I think the one that really kind of like was really weird to me was that there was a bookstore that Elisa Lamb was at prior to what she had done. And if you go on to if you go onto that bookstore's website and you take their cash code from their website and you put it in as coordinates, it leads to Elisa Lamb's grave in Canada, where she was buried.
Wow.
And it's I mean, like, it's kind of like, do you believe in coincidences? Do you believe in the fate of all of this, all of that? So like, Jess really did sit there and go, okay, that's super bizarre. Like, that you can't rationally explain why that is. And things like that. So those are the kind of things that I hit her with, and she has definitely sat there and went, okay, that's a thinker. You know, I need to sit on it.
Has there anything she has said that has affected the way you look at anything in the paranormal totally differently? Like, all of a sudden you're like, yeah, now I don't believe in, like, just like, I'll just like, man, I used to really believe in dowsing rods, but now, nope. Is there something that's really flipped your switch on what you've been always thought?
Yeah, location wise, it's kind of been location and or equipment with certain things. We did an episode on the Queen Mary, and I highly recommend everyone go out, listen to anything you can about the Queen Mary, because the Queen Mary is such an important piece of history. And it's so important that we speak about our history, because it always will end up repeating itself. And there were a lot of things that I was unaware of in my research, because what Jess and I do is that we don't really compare notes until we are recording. We want to make sure that we are not, all the evidence that we present to each other is fresh. And, she had let me know that when it came to the Queen Mary, it was original. Well, after it was docked, it was bought out by Disney. They were trying to turn it into a haunted mansion at seas, and they added all of these kind of electronics and animatronics to one of the most haunted rooms, which is stateroom B340. And of course, Disney no longer owns it, but the idea now is, did they leave some of that stuff in that room? Is that why that room is now supposedly one of the most haunted rooms? So that really made me think. And then there was another group that was in there as well that had it for a couple of years and tried to turn it into a haunt. And they weren't telling people that, hey, this is a haunted attraction. I think they were trying to sell it as, this is real haunted things, so that really kind of made me, turn my head a little bit, especially with a location like that. And then also, I think we're all lovers of the REM pod, 100%. But we saw an investigation with the very controversial Zach Bagans, and there were a lot of things that he was doing. So it was his Waverly episode, and that is when REM pods first came on the market. He had used it in that episode, and they just kind of flew off the shelves after that. And he was rather close to it on certain areas, and that's what Jess was trying to debunk. So, I had gone in with the Generation 1 REM pods and what they're like and what they do. And she kind of hit me with, the inside of a REM pod is a theremin. Are we familiar with a theremin, the instrument? To where you kind of play the frequencies by adjusting your hands over and around. And the theremins are very sensitive. They can pick up all sorts of stuff. And yes, we're being told this is what a REM pod is projecting, whether it's 1 foot, 3 foot, diameter. It can be extremely sensitive and also break easily. So the theremin, and like I said, this is like first generation. I'm sure with the ones that we see now, they've been worked out a little bit more, but at least with the ones that, Zach Bagans was using, first generation, those theremins were so tiny and so easily breakable. They could easily be messed around with during that type of investigation. So that kind of made me, turn a side eye towards REM pods now.
Yeah, those equipment, it's nice to have to back up what you're getting, but like I usually just go for EVPs or
Mhm.
like something more tangible.
Yeah.
What are her thoughts on stuff like that? Like, of course, with an EVP, especially if it's just a recording, you've got to take the people's word for it that this was not people
Yeah.
talking. So you've got to have a little bit of trust in those in what there you do. But what are her thoughts, and what are your thoughts on like EVPs?
Oh,
And
yeah. It also it so depends on the environment. I think that if I could speak for Jess, I think for her it would have to be one of those moments to where she knows she's in a room by herself and captures an EVP by herself, and she obviously would know there's no one around, there's no one talking, any sense of that. So once she could break down kind of the scientific theory behind it and go, okay, I know I was alone. I know there was no one in with a certain square footage of me. So what other factors are there? Are we outside? Are we indoors? Those type of things. And once she's broken things down to where she can't break down any further, then she might go, okay, this is definitely unexplainable. For me, it also depends on location. I think getting EVPs when you are in an outside type area, it's very sketch, because there are so many environmental factors that kind of go into it that you have to not only question, wait, did I say something, or did I burp, or whatever, but was there an animal walking behind me? Because that sounds like footsteps, but do I remember hearing that behind? So the woods, any time of outside area, it's a little bit harder, but I would say inside, especially if you're not in the room. It's actually really interesting, Ryan, just because with the cabin on 360, I was there last year, and I caught an EVP, and I firmly believe it is what it is, but I honestly feel that I caught an echo of Melissa getting shot and killed. So during it was me and two other friends. They're a couple, and Dakota and Nicole. Nicole is pregnant at the time, and we had Dakota doing an Estes method in Melissa's room. He was wearing a blindfold, and we are outside the door. And we're asking questions and we're getting responses. And we hear Dakota start to get a little bit more emotional. And he started saying things that we weren't even asking questions for, where he was saying, no, please stop, don't get out. So then he all of a sudden threw off the blindfold and said, it's too much. And he walked out the door, and Nicole started getting emotional. And she's pregnant. She's literally about this was July of last year. She just had her baby in September. So she's literally like 7. She was really pregnant. So I thought, okay, obviously she's getting emotional because she's pregnant and her fiance is outside having a moment. So we all go outside. I have a park and bark on the table by the television there in the cabin. And we go outside, and I would say probably about 18 seconds into us being outside. And I also checked my camera footage. That's the other thing, is that when we do investigations, you got to try to, look at all your cameras and all your different angles. I'm outside the front door. I want to give Dakota and Nicole, who have walked down the ramp into the grass, I want to give them a moment of privacy because they're both emotional, and this is their first time at the cabin, mind you. And I didn't want to record them, so I'm kind of trying to set up my tripod on the stand, the porch railing right there, and it wasn't working. So I literally spent like 3 to 5 minutes trying to do that. So about 18 seconds of the park and bark that is in the cabin itself, you hear what to me sounds like a woman or a girl say something. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it almost sounds like an exhalation of breath or something, or words that are said. Probably about 2 minutes after that, there is a loud bang that reverberates to the whole cabin. And then about a minute after that, there's a second bang. And then about 40 seconds later, there's a gurgling sound. And I I can't. I went back and I called Dakota and I called Nicole. I had them come over to my house when I was going over footage, and I said, "Where were we? We were outside. You know, by this time I had walked down the ramp. I was like, Dakota, were you leaning against the wheelchair railing? Were you banging your head against the wall or anything?" And he was like, "No, I walked out towards the grass." And Nicole was in a squatting position, having her moment almost the entire time. So I know for a fact, because I went back and looked at my camera that I was trying to fiddle with, you can't hear any of those sounds on my camera that is outside with me. It is only on the inside. I can't fault that. I've tried to debunk it. I went back in September of last year. I tried to somehow debunk it, and I couldn't do it. It's one of the best EVPs I feel that I've caught.
Wow.
Yeah, it took my breath as soon as I heard that gurgling sound. It just, in my mind, it all clicked together. You know, obviously, you going into that type of location, we always a lot of people try to maybe not know what the history of the place is, but I've been to the cabin now about 4 times, so I knew what the history was going into it. And then also Nicole had said that she was having an emotional moment because it wasn't for Dakota and it wasn't because she was pregnant. She said right when Dakota started saying the words like "get out" and "stop" and "leave," she said she felt like she was being touched. And she said it felt icky. It was just disgusting how all of a sudden she felt like someone was touching her all over her body. And that's why she got emotional. She literally felt like someone was touching her. It had nothing to do with Dakota. So yeah, just to catch all of that, you know, on camera, just blew my mind. It just made the cabin that much more of a haunted location favorite for myself.
Ryan, you're muted.
Oh shit. Sorry about that. I think I hit the button. We've had a few people tell us that they've gotten the sound of a gunshot.
Wow.
In the cabin. And yeah, and again, the same feeling that your friend got, where they were feeling just gross and like they felt fear and they just felt like they weren't themselves, which is, you know, different than how they feel downstairs, which is a lot of times people feel anger downstairs. Like, but when you get this great evidence, do you ever talk to your friend about it and say, "This is what I got"? Ask her opinion. Like, what are her thoughts on your evidence, knowing that you're the one who experienced it and you're not reading it from somebody else's experience?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, that's a great question. I've talked to Jess about this evidence, but I have not really expressed an interest to like really show it to her. And I think that is because it's a location she's never had the pleasure of actually being at. So there's really nothing for her to bounce anything off of. She just has to literally take me at my word, which she's okay with. But at the same time, you know, she does want to sit there and try to debunk everything 1000% because that's just how her brain works. And I find that, but I think also there's a part of me that doesn't want it debunked. Right.
Yeah.
Because I'm such a firm believer in what happened in that moment that I'm like, I don't want it debunked. I really don't. So I don't want to, you know, if Jess ever asks me, she's more than welcome to look at it. I will play it for her. But also there's that idea that we're priming. So you know, if she's watching the show right now, like I just sat there and said, "This is what I hear." So now you're trying to listen for that.
Right.
And I know that's exactly what she would say is
Power
that now you told
suggestion.
me what to listen to. Yes. Yeah. That was the big thing that we noticed. Because on our show, one of our questions that we talk about is we always take a paranormal show and we discuss it on ours. And numerous times when it comes to EVPs that are played over these shows that are on television, they're terrible. I don't know. I don't know if it's just the episodes we picked, but a lot of the times it's and they're like, "Did you hear that? It said my name." And I'm like, "What?" It that sounded like Snap, Crackle, and Pop. That's what that
Jess
sounded
doesn't
like.
want to ruin your fun. That's what Jess said. Doesn't want to ruin. Thank you, Jess.
I love her. Oh, I love her to pieces. She's my best friend in the entire world. But yeah, so that's one thing that we encounter a lot, especially watching these shows, is that it's just there is that power of suggestion because they also put at the bottom of the screen like what they think
Yes.
you should hear.
Yeah, and some of
But-
it, most of it's like a static mess where it's like,
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, get out! I'm like, what are you talking about? Or they have like
Exactly.
music playing so loud
Yeah.
over it you can't hear what it is.
Yeah.
Like, come
Yeah.
on, guys.
And sometimes it all has to do with like editors and stuff. I know that we were watching before even starting the podcast, we were kind of like watching some people's like ghost shows. And we now she knew about them. I did not, but we stumbled across Sam and Colby. You know, the two oldest living twinks I've ever seen. But anyway, they did this investigation, and I think what really bothered me, it wasn't, and I know it bothered Jess too, is a lot of the editing. There were moments in their show to where like, wait, did you hear that? And it's like, no, we couldn't because your editor's blaring the music over what's happening right now.
Yeah. Oh, they yell a lot. They really get into it.
God.
Like, yeah,
They really, really do. If I see one more Estes method where people are standing next to each other and screaming questions, I will throw down because I'm like, you should be about 4 or 5 feet away. I don't care how good those noise canceling headphones are. If you are screaming at someone that is 6 inches away from you, they can hear you, and you're now priming them to answer. And so that bothers the bejesus out of me.
Yeah, I think a lot of those people like are just mostly for entertainment.
Yes.
Purposes.
I mean, I do understand why people like Sam and Colby. I do. I think they're great for because we've talked about it before. I think Sam and Colby are like a great for like the newer generation of paranormal investigators. But I just, if Sam and Colby are watching, you never know. I just do your research. I've watched. Yeah. One, yes, come to the cabin. And then 2, do your research. If it's not you, tell your producer to do the research. Because we did the Lizzie Borden house, and we watched their episode of Lizzie Borden, and it was so much. A lot of their material, a lot of their history reporting was just. It was like, who told you this? What book did you pull this out of, if any? And that kind of bothered me because, like, look, you're a popular YouTube person and you're putting this out there, and that is not factual at all. And it just didn't make a lot of sense. So that's like my thing for them is like, look, do your research. Stop screaming every time your REM pod goes off because, Jess and I are theater people. We grew up and we went to college together and in the theater. And the one thing that we were always taught in the theater is that if you come into a scene at a 10, you have nowhere to go. Nowhere. You don't want to go down and you can't go up. So now people are bored. And that's kind of what I see a lot of, especially the younger generation who are putting their stuff out there on YouTube, is that they're coming in and reacting very, very hot. And it's like, well, now I've seen you do this 8 times in a row. I'm no longer impressed.
I think with a lot of, the generations now is a TikTok generation where it's just like boom, boom, boom. Like the attention span is so short.
Yes.
Like a lot of people are getting their stuff from TikTok, and with AI becoming such a big thing, it makes it so much harder for people like us who actually put real evidence out there, where it's like, okay, how do I distinguish what is real or not these days?
Yes. Yeah. I think when it comes to that, it all depends. Because I know we talked about there was when we did the Cecil Hotel, and there was I don't remember what his name is or how old he was. He was probably like 14 or 15 years old. But he had taken a photo outside of the Cecil, and it was on the local news because there was this blurry, and it was blurry, I'll bet. Okay. But it was kind of this ghostly spectral looking thing. It looked like someone falling or jumping past the windows. And this was in like 2000 and whatever. And it was taken like he submitted, like he took it with an iPhone and like this generation and yada, yada, yada. So I was like, okay, well, here's a picture that we definitely can't say AI generated, or anything such as that. So those are a lot of things that I would say that we also look for. The good news is Jess she's a wonderful photographer. So she kind of catches that stuff rather quickly, especially when you have the eye for it.
Yeah, going back to what you're talking about, the Sam and Colby of it all.
Mm-hmm.
I think when we were coming up, Zach Bagans, like I watched Ghost Adventures before I got into got onto a team. I mean, I would sit there and like Friday night, I would be in front of the TV watching Travel Channel.
Yeah.
And I think even though they're maybe not doing it the way we like, Sam and Colby are getting the younger generation into the paranormal, and once they get into it like we did, we will learn that there's just a different way. There's entertaining, which is what they do, and then there's the actual paranormal investigations, and I think that will bring younger people in, and they'll learn the correct way to do it.
Yeah, and I hope that there is people like us. I'm a big fan of the Ghost Brothers.
Yeah.
I really liked how they portrayed themselves on television, and also just by the way they acted with things. They were very natural, and that was something, because growing up watching Zach, it was like everything was like, oh. And I also just found out from doing Waverly, because we had actually watched his Waverly episode. He actually pronounces his name Bagans. It's like Bagans, like a Midwestern mom.
We're from Michigan.
He said his name in the episode, and we sat there and replayed it 40 times, because he was like, I'm Zach Bagans. And I was like, what?
Bagans, don't you know?
Like, we've been saying it wrong this whole time. He allowed us to do that, by the way. He just allowed it. But Zach is obviously, as we know, like so controversial in the paranormal community just because of his intensity. And I don't always mind it. I will say it reminds me. Do you guys remember the guy, the infomercial guy? He was on a plane and he got hit in the head with a piece of the plane, and then he went home and died because he actually had like a hematoma. But he used to yell in his infomercials, right? He was like, "Buy this right now!" Blah 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 blah. He was on an interview with 60 Minutes, and they said, "Why do you scream?" And he sat there and said, "Here, can I have your pen?" And he was like, if I sit there and say, "Hey, this is a great gel pen, it writes really well, you should buy it." And the interviewer was like, "Yeah, that's fine." He was like, "You really need to buy this pen because it's amazing." And they were like, "Whoa, It is." And I was like, I kind of get why Zach does what he does. It does grab your attention. It does make you pay attention to everything that is happening. You can't wait for him to come back from a commercial break. I might not personally respect how he does things in a paranormal environment, but I'm also not the one getting paid, so it doesn't matter.
And if you're not excited about what you're getting, why would people who are watching Travel Channel, who aren't necessarily into the paranormal, go out, why would they be excited? But then again, if you're excited about everything, then nothing's exciting. So you got to like kind of have a balance there.
And I think that with Ghost Adventures, like they found their niche, right? They kind of sat there and went, okay, Zach's the intense one, and then we have the other guy who's constantly getting picked on. I can't remember his name, but he was the one whose wife put a hit out on him, on Aaron Samuels. Poor guy. Like he was always the one getting picked on by the ghost. He was always so it was like everyone kind of had their own role in a sense to keep it interesting for the viewers. And they did that for a long while. So clearly it paid off.
Yeah. I mean,
they got talking about them.
Yeah.
We're still talking about them in hopes that they'll listen.
There is a difference between genuine excitement. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Yes. I think that's what the overkill was. It was everything was so exciting. It's one thing if certain things, like I think that's when everybody goes, "Oh, well, it's losing its authenticity now."
I and my wife started investigating in early 2000. We lived in 2 homes that were haunted, and the only way we knew they were haunted was because 2 of our boys have autism. One is severely autistic and nonverbal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Kids are definitely
I was about to say there is something fascinating about the different spectrums that our brains live and work on, and how it can, I feel, access the different things of our worlds. I think that is a fascinating topic. It's a fascinating research. There are tons of kids out there who are on the either the lower end of autism with that spectrum. Sometimes they're in the middle or whatever it is, but they seem to have more experiences via the paranormal.
First thing I thought Colin was talking about tattoo
I
on
was
Fantasy
going to see
Island.
Colin, but he's probably not even born yet.
Thank you for telling me I look young. I just turned 42.
You are young
No,
compared to
but
us.
You are young.
well, but no, I know Tattoo from Fantasy Island actually. But I also I
Same.
loved watching older shows when I was actually, gosh, like 20 years ago. I would because Nick at Night, I
Yeah,
would
I'd
like
watch
totally
I
watch
Love
that channel.
Lucy
All the
and
time.
old shows like that. Yeah, in syndication.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no, back to the idea of the spectrum. I think it's so fascinating, and there's because my nephew is autistic, and him and his mom live in Florida. But my sister is very much involved in the paranormal, and I would love her take on if my nephew has experienced anything. Um, just to see, but even the idea of pregnant women, also in that area. I know. Actually, I saw a comment earlier where someone was talking about using their Phasma box. I'm a huge fan of the Phasma box personally. And I remember once again, I was at the cabin with my friends Dakota and Nicole. Nicole is pregnant, and we had put the Phasma box on the television. And I had asked Melissa if she could tell me something about my friend Nicole. I said, she's a little different. Could you tell me what it is? And over the Phasma box, you hear pregnant, clear as day. And I was like, you can't debunk that. Like, I'm not on my laptop, because a lot of people will sit there and say because a Phasma box is on a tablet or a laptop that it's obviously reading stuff that you've searched on that computer, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going around typing in pregnant women and looking up pregnancies on that computer or any computer, really. It has nothing to do with me. But regardless, I was like, I can't. There's no way that it should have picked up that word out of the data bank that is provided with the Phasma box.
Yeah, there are a lot. Sometimes you'll hear things like on apps or stuff like "I was alone" or "It is dark" or stuff. I died here or something like that, where it's like, okay, it's being used as this particular purpose. It could be that they put that in there so people will actually think, oh, this is awesome, this works. But you get a word like pregnant that actually has to do with the person being pregnant. That's hard to like debunk.
Yeah, I was in the old hospital on College Hill, and my friends and I were on the third floor in the surgery area, and I had someone doing an Estes method, and all of a sudden, like at first it was just kind of like random stuff, and you're not really getting any hits, but then he starts like hearing surgical words, clear and stat and scalpel, like just all this random kind of stuff you would hear in a hospital. And I was like, I'm not that particular computer that I use for Phasmos. It's the only thing I use on it. I don't search the internet on it or anything such as that. But even hypothetically, if no one believed that, how does my computer know that I happen to be on the third floor where the surgery was in this particular hospital?
Right.
Yeah.
So those are my ways of kind of debunking certain aspects of using an app. I'm not a huge fan of using an app on my phone, particularly just because we use our phones for absolutely everything.
Yeah.
I will say there was I know there's a big thing with GhostTube. I do have that on my phone, and the only reason why I kind of became a good believer in a sense of GhostTube, I was doing a tour. I used to work at the Clifton 5 movie theater here in town. And we would do tours there. And I was leading a tour, and I was just about to, I told everyone about GhostTube. I said, look, if you kind of want a really cool thing to maybe download on your phone, because look, paranormal equipment is expensive, people. I was like, this is kind of a cool app. I can't guarantee any hits or anything such as that, but we've used it and it's pretty cool. And everyone in the group, there's probably about 6 or 7 people. They had downloaded the app. They all had it on. They're in Theater 2, and it has a big stage, and we were all standing on it. And I was about to introduce something new to the tour that I had just found out, which was the underground tunnels that run underneath of the town that we live in. Now, those tunnels used to be used to light the furnaces of businesses back in like the 1800s. So I was just about to start discussing them, and then everyone's ghost tube, mine and like the people who downloaded it, all went underground. Like the same word came across all of them. And I was like, this is the first time that I've ever introduced that particular story to the tours. So they had no idea that I was going to talk about it. GhostTube had no idea that I was going to talk about it. So I found that pretty compelling, actually.
Yeah, I did an EVP session with the Necrophonic app, and I was in the in my car at Cold Harbor Battlefield. And I asked what happened here, and a female voice comes through saying it's in the museum.
Oh.
Yeah. So basically, it's whatever happened here, go to the museum, which would be the information center. But, clear as day.
I know, hopefully Jess won't get mad at me for saying this, but I know that she had used like an Alice Box app on her phone, and she had gone to a Titanic museum, to where they had stuff. And so she let it play just to see if, anything would come across. And she actually sent me like everything that came across on the app. And there were a couple of things that she was like, it's a little weird that this particular word came out while I was looking at this particular object. And so I thought that was really cool. There's definitely the belief that there are things out there that people are still attached to even after death. And I find that very fascinating in that idea.
I did a spirit box session in Randy's room, and a voice came through that said my N word.
Oh,
but it wasn't like you'd hear like on a radio station.
Yeah.
With some music, it was like sound like a white person saying it and coming through. And then that's not so, even if you wouldn't even if it was on a particular radio station, you wouldn't hear that word.
Yeah.
They would say something else.
Right.
Now, was Randy black?
He was half. He was mixed.
Half. Okay, he was mixed.
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause I remember hearing that information. That's interesting because that's not something. And also the idea. I know a lot of people, especially when it comes to the cabin, they're just kind of like, "Well, Randy's still alive," and I was like, "That none of that matters." In all honesty, right? I honestly feel that if a spirit, we all leave a little piece of ourselves, especially with the action that had happened between Randy. I do think there is a part of him that is still there, wholeheartedly.
I got a voice that came through and said not a rapist, and then another voice comes through and says hello, Randy.
I mean, there obviously when it comes to Randy, there is a lot of the idea of speculation because like we know he was doing drugs. So, I mean, right there, it's kind of like, whoa, and then we also know, he had stolen the gun from someone else's place that he had robbed a couple of nights or a couple of weeks prior. So this idea, because here's my thing, right? Being a paranormal investigator, I am not 100% sure if I believe in possession. And I think that's because I've never seen it and I've never had it happen to me personally. So this idea gets rolled around that Randy, was possessed. He made a comment, I believe it was in the papers or to the press or whoever it was that he didn't even realize what had happened until after, like he was in the doorway. And it was like he hadn't even moved her body yet. He was in the doorway after everything that had happened. And that's when he realized, oh shoot, what did I do? And unfortunately it is this idea. Do I believe it was possession? I can't tell you. I don't know. But I do know that the facts show he was on, I believe, I could be wrong, Ryan, you would know more than I would, but I believe it was cocaine.
Yeah, that's what he said.
It was, and he had been partying and drinking with friends prior to all of that. So it's like when you add all of these factors into it, it's kind of like, I don't know if you were necessarily possessed. I do think there's bad juju in that location. Do
Yeah.
I because you talked about the basement and how people feel angry, and I all 4 times that I've been there, I've never had an experience in that basement. I've never felt some type of way in the basement. Neither has anyone that I've been with, and that was kind of the shocker to me because like we were expecting some big hits. Now I will say, I've heard disembodied voices coming from the basement. We were in Melissa's room. Like we were just, I think it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and we were all kind of leaning against the back wall. And you could hear people talking in the basement. It was a man and a woman having a conversation. You couldn't understand what they were saying. And I remember because it was me, Ariel, Kirsten, and Dylan. And I was like, is anybody else? Because I honestly thought I was like in my own head. I was like, am I gaslighting myself? And Dylan was like, no, but I hear it. Ariel was like, I hear it too. Kirsten was like, I hear it. It was just this whole conversation. And that was coming from the basement. And I also remember there was one time I was going down. Oh, so the obviously I lost my train of thought. Obviously, there's something like in the basement area because I have it. I want to say 3 times on my Park and Bark camera. I had it kind of facing the kitchen area, and that light that is in the basement, the one that's the automatic one, it came on 3 times when no one was even in the house. We had all gone. So I was like, clearly something is tripping that is not, it's not a light switch that someone's flicking up and down. Like that is a motion sensor light that is getting triggered 3 separate times. And there were a couple of times that we thought we would hear footsteps coming up from the basement. Like that was a very common occurrence. And there was one time that I was there, and I was there for my birthday weekend a couple of years ago. And, us at Clifton had done a little contest, and there were these 2 very nice girls. They were a couple. They lived in Virginia. And they kind of like did all this content sharing for us. So we invited them to go with us. And me and the girls were in Melissa's room. We were playing Hungry Hungry Hippo. I had bought the Hungry Hungry Hippo board game. Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. All right. I played it.
That's cool.
Yeah, because my thing is that Ariel and I had researched because of when Melissa had passed away in that year, we wanted to know what were the most popular toys that she would unfortunately never get the chance to play with. And Hungry Hungry Hippo of that time period was huge. So that's the reason why we brought it. And me and the girls were playing it. And I remember on the Phasmobox, we'd asked what color she would like to play. And I believe blue came across. So we sat there and played all the other ones except the blue one. And I remember there was one marble that would not go anywhere near our hippos. It would only go by Melissa's, the one that she was supposed to be playing as, which look, I could debunk it, but I was like, it's too cool of a moment to debunk. So we decided to go down into the basement, and I remember we opened the basement door. I get about 4 steps down. The one girl is behind me, and she takes about 2 steps down, and then all of a sudden the ceiling, a rock fell from the ceiling and hit me in the back of the neck.
Oh, wow.
And it was about the size of a pebble. And I remember like I felt it. And then we heard the clink, clink, clink down the steps. And then we turn around to go back up, and the other girl closed the door. She said, F you. And she just closed it and ran because she got freaked out. So I took my flashlight and I looked up at the ceiling, and it's not rock. It's but it was a pebble. Like it was a literal piece of granite that had from the ceiling, hit me on the back of the neck, and then bounced down the stairs.
Interesting.
And
wow.
I have no idea where it came from, how it got there, nothing. I couldn't debunk it. I tried.
I've had rocks thrown at me like inside Henricus in Reverend Whitaker's house. And it's like there's no reason for a rock to be there.
Yeah.
Man, it's been a fun conversation. I think we need to have you back on the show.
Yeah.
I would love that. You guys, it has been so long, unfortunately. And honestly, like if I had not seen, what really inspired me to like reach out to you, Ryan, was that I had seen the work that you did with Ariel. And I was like, because those of you who don't know, like I used to be part of Clifton, love the place, love the location, but unfortunately we had a falling out because Ariel and I sat there and said, we are either going to lose our friendship or lose this business. And I thought, I just, unfortunately, our friendship did suffer at first, but her and I are close now. We talked about it. We got over everything because we're adults. But I decided to basically just kind of do my own thing. And I still hang out with Ariel, and I saw that what you were doing with her, and I was just kind of like, you know what? I haven't spoke with Ryan and God knows how long since I was with Clifton. We did an interview on your podcast those years ago, and I was like, that was one of the most fun times that I've really ever had doing this. And I also look at how popular that you guys have become, and I was like, so when you hit me up and said, "Oh, are you free this night?" I was like, I expected not to get booked for like months.
Well,
This has been so much fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we will be having Ariel on our TikTok a week from Thursday. I just actually just talked to her. She was dealing with some stuff, so she couldn't come on. So now we're gonna have her on the show a week from Thursday.
Yes.
But I really appreciate you coming on and joining us and telling us about your podcast and when can people listen to the show, or where can they find it?
So you can find us on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. It's full of paranormal BS. Obviously we're on Facebook, we're on Insta, we're on TikTok. And then also we have an email, paranormalbs at Gmail. So yeah, and we also encourage everyone to send us messages. Let us know. That's the other thing that Jess and I really love to debate. The one thing that I will say about, people are sometimes a little scared of talking to a skeptic because, like we said, we don't necessarily want what we believe to be skepticized and ruined for us. Jess is very good with the idea of going, I'm not debating on what you feel that you went through, but here's something that maybe else could go behind it to make you think about it. And that's just great because I've worked with other skeptics before her, like, nope, don't believe it, you suck, and that's it. And it doesn't make you feel any better. And Jess is definitely one of those people that'll sit there and say, I'm going to think about this and I'm going to, try to get back to it. But we love to hear from the community. We love to hear people's thoughts because frankly, the way that we look at it is that this show is not just ours, it's everyone's. We would love help in molding it and, wanting to know what you think. If you guys have ideas for suggestions of locations, we would love to be able to do that. We will be going into our second season at the end of it'll be next year, but our end of season is October 31st. And then we take a little break and then we come back for a second season, and we've got so many great things planned. Yeah.
You guys should come out and do investigations.
Yes. Look, I want to get Jess and Bree because the issue is that I live in Pennsylvania. Jess still lives in Florida, and Bree, her sister, our producer, lives in New Mexico.
Oh wow,
that's a bit of a hike.
But Bree does come to Florida like very often, especially because she has her son. She just had a baby. He'll be 2 in November. And she obviously comes to visit family and all that stuff very often. And I have been dying to get them to the cabin. Because everything that Ryan has done with it, everything that Dennis has done with it, it is such an amazing location that I never guarantee evidence anywhere, but I was like, in this place, something always happens. It's such an active location.
But there you go. We're planning on doing investigations in the future. That would be awesome to do a live investigation.
Yes.
Have people, interacting with you guys, and you can it's the stuff to debunk. This or something happens and it's like freaking crazy and she has no explanation for it, that'd be fun to experience
Yeah,
too.
I want to
Yes.
leave her alone. Jess, I want to leave you alone in Melissa's room and just see, because Melissa's very different with men and women. It's a very different experience. And I think that would be really cool for
Yeah.
Jess to kind of experience that. And then we have our other friend Marty, who's part of the team, and he also goes on investigations because like Bree and I are more the believers, and Jess and Marty are they're skeptics, but they want to believe, so they want to be able to go and do this stuff. And Marty lives all the way in New York, but yeah, we are planning stuff to get together and come out to these locations. And I think your location is the perfect meet between all of us, aside from Bree, she's all the way out there. Yeah, Melissa and I will bond. Yeah.
great.
And Ryan, look, I think the next time we do this, Jess, I think we should have Jess on the
Yeah.
show with me. I
Yes,
would love to
let's
have
do it.
Jess.
That would be awesome because I'd
That
like
would
to
be really
hear
cool.
her, hear her thoughts on different things and how, how she looks at things from a different perspective. So
Yeah.
when Ron and I go out for investigation, we may think of it, maybe look at certain things a different way, like you did with the bread mold. And
Oh, it's so important.
so yeah, we would love to have you guys back on in the future. So Colin, thank you so much for joining
Thank
us
you.
tonight. I will be in touch with you guys about coming on the show.
Yes.
And if you ever want us to come on your show, let us know. We'll join you.
All right. Well,
And
perfect. Thank you
We
guys
could do
so
some
much. This has
crossover
been-
shows. It'd be fun.
There we go.
Look, we are we are having a crossover. There's a great guy out there he runs the Phantom Frequency. His name's Steven, and we are doing a crossover episode with him into our new season. So that is something that we are working on doing with other people, especially with like other skeptics, because he is a believer and his partner and his podcast is a skeptic. So we're doing a 2 versus 2 type episode for the start of our second season. So these are things that we want to work on and collab with people. We think it'd be awesome.
That would be
Nice.
amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and we will talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you guys so
Thanks,
much. Have a good
Colin.
night, everyone.
Have a good
Bye.
one. Bye. That was fun. I really
He's a
enjoyed that.
blast.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the idea of having them both on and
Yeah.
learning different ways to
And,
look at
like,
things.
Yeah, and I think you and I are both we're those investigators. We're believers, but we're skeptics too. It's like
Yeah.
we're both very comfortable with going into a scientific and saying, "Yeah, I don't know about that. Wish it was
And it's
true,
one-
but I don't think so." So
It's
this will be
one
fun.
thing. Yeah. When, you have your evidence and it's real, but when you see someone else's, you've really got to, you've really got to believe you have to take those people's word for it. That's why honesty and integrity is so important.
And
in
I
the
like
paranormal.
the way Colin said that Jess approaches things, because that's much how Tyler Darnell is a very good friend of ours. He's the haunted photographer, and he is very good. He'll say when somebody sends him something to analyze as a photographer, he'll say, I'm just going to tell you what it could be, because if you think you caught something paranormal, you did.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
I'm just going to give you other things that could have been, and that's so respectful.
When you put your evidence out there, it is ripe for scrutiny.
Yep.
But it is such a so personal when you catch something that you think is good, is great, and it's good. What happened. You were
Right.
there. I mean, that nobody screamed "Help me" during the investigation.
Yep.
And you have all this emotion towards it. When you put it out there, there are people that will be like, "This is bullshit."
Yeah.
But you can't be scared to put it out there either.
Right.
If you think it's that good, it doesn't matter what people think, because what happened. The only person who knows what happened is you.
Yeah.
But you also put it, also have the chance of people like that evidence that Jeannie put out about, with that face and stuff, according to her, she took the pictures and this is what showed up, and you could see
Right.
the face. You can see the mist forming into the face. I couldn't debunk it. I don't know.
Right.
But
Agreed.
of course, people have their opinions. It's just what it is. So I'm looking forward to having them on the show.
Yeah, I am too.
Thursday, I don't know, could be us just shooting the shit for an
That'd be
hour.
fun too.
And this Sunday we are back with a freaking awesome playlist. We're gonna be talking.
Hey, and I'm ahead of schedule because we had to postpone. I'm ahead of schedule. We already have songs ready.
We already have our songs. I have the playlist made out. So I made it on Sunday. So
it'll be fun. I'm excited.
So we are gonna be talking about songs that kind of get you into feelings, kind of like when you're depressed or sad, or songs you want to listen to when you are feeling a certain way. Yeah. So we're not happy all the time.
Bad or indifferent. Maybe you need to feel some rage, or you need to feel like just do it.
Yeah. These are songs for that. And then next Tuesday, we're gonna be back with Dana Marie Volmer giving out some tarot card readings. Woo-hoo! For you freaks. So join us.
Freaks like their tarot card reading.
Yes. We're super excited talking to her again, having her back on the show. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. This was a fun show. We're glad to be back. Yep. And we will see you on Thursday. Same freaking awesome time.
Same freaking awesome show.
See you later. Bye.
Good night, everyone.